All right, joining me right now to talk more about all of this is Maniza Habib, a sexual and reproductive health rights researcher. Maniza, great to see you. Sadly, on these kinds of circumstances, however. So, are we talking about a type of crime, that is becoming more common? These femicides.
Thank you so much for having me. And I think you pose a great question. It's true that this brutal killing is not an isolated incident. It's part of a worldwide epidemic. The last UN report on femicide reported that a woman is murdered by her partner or family member every 10 minutes. And despite how much we don't want to admit it, that it's a problem here in the States, it is. The Americas have the world's second highest femicide in the world, and the United States holds one of the highest among all high income countries. Roughly 70% of the femicide that occurs in high income countries happens here. And it happens in all communities of all religious and ethnic backgrounds. But I would also be amiss to not note that men are murdering Black women and girls at a rate almost 3 times higher than white women, and Native American and Alaska Native women follow close behind.
So what are you learning about the motives? I mean, is there a commonality in the motives? And are we talking about these crimes mostly being carried out by people that these women have had interaction with? Or are these just complete strangers who are targeting women simply because of their sex, that they're women?
So the sad truth is a woman is more likely to be victimized in their home than anywhere else. So femicide doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's a deadly end of a spectrum of abuse that we are ignoring and continuing to ignore. It's historically been used as a means of control and dominance and even conquer. And there's a lot of intersecting factors at play that drive femicide. One of the huge causes is toxic masculinity, and this is really entrenched in every society and harms both men and women. More simply put, when men are taught to see women as property and not people, violence becomes a way to assert power.
So talk to me more about this toxic masculinity and what form and how is it becoming more prevalent? How are people seeing it? Maybe they don't know to identify it as such, but it is a terminology you're using.
Yeah. Well, basically, toxic masculinity is all these norms that we have that assert the dominance of masculinity over femininity. It upholds the structured patriarchy that encourages gender-based violence as a means to assert dominance and control. It might not be something that we always can see explicitly, but it's this idea that women owe something to men and that men are meant to be on top.
What are some of the solutions, if we could put it that way, that are being, discussed? I mean, or remedies, or a response to this?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It's true that these problems are solvable and femicide is absolutely preventable, but it's not going to be a walk in the park. There's a lot of different things at play that contribute to the prevalence of femicide and why it's rising. Well, first, we need better data collection to even understand what the different protective factors are to make an intervention work, and then take that information to advocate for laws that will actually respond to survivor needs. For example, in the United States, gun control laws can have a profound impact on reducing femicide. Another more preventative measure is something like comprehensive sexuality education, which isn't just about teaching kids about the biological components of sex, but also about how to have healthy and nonviolent relationships, what bodily autonomy is, and how to communicate with each other that honor all genders and all types of people.
All right, Maniza Habib, thank you so much for the work that you're doing and helping to spread awareness and education. I appreciate you being with us today, too.
Thank you so much for having me.